Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I go any further, let me go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. As a reminder, my presentation and the Options with Doug chat room in Bookmap Discord is very focused, and the focus is options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and that is based on positional analysis. And I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions shift from day to day to help me develop a thesis regarding volatility for the day, the expected trading range, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution, and I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to help confirm my thesis and define setups. And questions and comments are welcome. On-topic questions and comments are welcome. Okay, got that out of the way, and now let's get started. So my agenda for today, I'm going to talk about news items, and this is economic data that was released this morning, as well as additional economic data that will be released tomorrow and Friday. And the reason I do that is that data can certainly have an impact on price action during the day, and also could have an impact on how traders or market makers are positioned in the options market. So today, first of all, consumer confidence came out. This is, I guess, really kind of a minor data release, but it did seem to have an impact on price action. The consumer confidence number came out better than expected, and the market rallied. That came out at 10 a.m. and the market rallied after that data. And there was also data information about the consumer inflation rate expectations, and apparently that was better than expected. So anyway, that was the news this morning. The market interpreted it as bullish and has rallied since 10 a.m. And then tomorrow, the GDP report comes out at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And then on Friday, the PCE and durable goods orders comes out at 8:30 a.m. And another consumer sentiment number comes out at 10 a.m. So just keep that in mind as you trade for the day. All right, now let's go through our position analysis. And let me go to the S&P 500. So this is the S&P 500 futures, and the notable thing this morning is the I guess the chop until the 10 a.m. news release, and price was making higher lows and then did a final reversal at the SPX 3850 level. So what I'm looking at in these two columns, this is the Spotgamma cloud nodes column, and this is showing SPX levels primarily, and also SPY SPX combo levels, and converted to equivalent ES prices. So right now Spotgamma is adding 25 points to SPX to come up with an equivalent ES number. So price reversed at this 3850 SPX 3850 level, and continued higher up until about 11:15, something like that, and then has chopped around this. Really, it looks like the high volume area of this chop is the SPY 386 volatility trigger level, and this column is my cloud nodes, and I use an add-on from the Bookmap marketplace to show this information, and it automatically draws these horizontal lines as well. So this is the SPY 386 volatility trigger level, and that is the that is Spotgamma's gamma flip level. So below that level indicates that market makers would be in a negative gamma position, and above that level market makers would be in a positive gamma position. So it seems to be a magnet for today. And now let's talk about shifts in levels. So one interesting thing to note is the SPX and SPY volatility triggers dropped pretty substantially from yesterday. So yesterday the SPX volatility trigger was at 39.75, and today it dropped down to 38.30. And again, that's an SPX number, and the interesting thing to note is that is right next to the call wall at 38.35, which also happens to be the call short call in the JP Morgan collar. And then the SPY volatility trigger dropped from 399 yesterday to 376 today. And other shifts in levels, the SPY put wall increased from 375 to 380, and then the call wall actually dropped down from 410 to 388, and that 410 was just out of play, too far out of range. So this drop in the call wall kind of makes sense, and there were no changes to the S&P 500 and NASDAQ key gamma strikes. All right, let's look at the S&P 500 charts and Spotgamma here. And these are the absolute gamma levels. So this is the 3800 put wall for SPX. And you can see the substantial amount of put gamma there. That's the teal line below zero. And that is a key support level. And actually, I think the key event for this week, or at least continuing on through today, and things can change as data is reported tomorrow and Friday, or something happens. But so far, I think the key event this week was the reversal lower at 3,800. Now this is from yesterday, so December 20th, and this is the reversal at the 3,800 support level and put wall level. So that was the key event yesterday, and I think this move today is appears to be somewhat of a continuation of that move from yesterday. So again, 3,800. That's the put wall. That's the key level of support, and then there are other key gamma levels at 3,850, and that's what held us support today, and then 3,900, and then finally the 4,000 key gamma strike, which has been the key gamma strike for quite a while in SPX. And then this is the 380 level in SPY, and that is the put wall as well as the key gamma strike. And you can see the concentration of put gamma there. So that that's also a key level. And one other thing, interesting thing that I saw today was looking at the open interest change and the volume traded. So the volume traded is shown with the black lines, and the open interest change is shown with these teal lines that are kind of hard to see. So you can see the volume, the concentration of volume, and this is put data right here. So we're looking at put data. So this is from yesterday, and the concentration of volume traded and open interest at the 3,800 level right there. And call data, the concentration of, it's a little bit easier to see on this chart, the volume traded at 3,850 as well as the open interest change. And I checked with Hero yesterday and saw that traders were selling calls and selling puts. So undoubtedly they were selling the 3,800 puts and selling the 3,850 calls. Okay, let's take a look at data now, some of the data. And as usual, one of the key pieces of data that I focus on is the gamma notional. And this is market maker's position on the gamma curve. So what I'm looking at here is this information. And this is SPX, this column right here, and then this is SPX from yesterday afternoon. And I compare morning to morning. So the gamma notional for both SPX and SPY today is still pretty negative. This is a substantial number for SPY here, but it's less negative than yesterday. So yesterday, SPX in the morning, the gamma notional was minus 677, and today it's dropped, or however you want to look at it, it's less negative to 605, minus 605. And yesterday, SPY gamma notional was minus 2176. So it has become less negative to minus 1858. So that, those are not really significant changes. And that does not necessarily indicate or have anything to do with price action. It just indicates that market makers on this portion of the gamma curve, they're in the negative gamma curve, meaning that traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and their delta exposure will increase as price drops, and they will need to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure as price drops, and then as price increases, they can buy back those short futures. So they will be trading in the direction of price action, and this tends to increase volatility. So with this kind of in this negative gamma environment, you would be typically looking for a trend day rather than a range day. And the Vanna charts illustrate that very well. And what this chart is showing is the market maker's delta exposure and how it changes with changes in price, implied volatility, and that's shown by the green line, and that's the Vanna effect, and then also changes as time passes, and that's shown by the black line at the next expiration, and that's the charm effect. And the way to interpret this is to I just used a pen tool here to draw kind of a logical line through this green curve, and this is indicating that market makers delta exposure, delta notional, again increases as price falls, and they have to sell futures. They want to remain delta neutral, so they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. And vice versa, as price rises, they can buy back those short futures since their delta exposure will decrease. And we can look back and see how that has changed from day to day. So this is just showing a slight decrease in the slope of this line from yesterday. And we can look at SPY and also see how that has changed. So minor changes from day to day. All right, I'm going to pause and look for questions here. Let me check with YouTube. And Taj asks, can you use SPY or Tesla for demo? And I'll look at both. So Tesla was really choppy today, and SPY was a better setup. So we'll look at that. And see, Joe asked about post more ideas than alerts in Bookmap. I try to, but my schedule is really busy. I do what I can in the morning. At least I post my watch list. My Spotgamma Hero watch list ranked by either strongest to weakest signal or weakest to strongest signal. And today I posted it by strongest to weakest signal. And occasionally when I see a good setup and I have time, I'll post it. But my intent with this is to I'm not really trying to provide a trading signal service. I'm trying to provide education to show other traders how to use this information to find their own setups. And there's a question about how did I draw that red line on the Vanna chart, and I use an Epic pen. It's just a download. It's a screen drawing tool. And Billy asked, how can we use the gamma notional to determine which direction for SPY? And you really can't. Gamma notional is more an indication of volatility. And let me show something else. This is the Spotgamma. This is data that's presented in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. And this is the Spotgamma Gamma Index. And it's a proprietary measure of gamma. So it's related to this gamma notional. And let's just pop up what this is showing here. So this is a proprietary measurement of the total amount of gamma in the underlying asset. And so as it moves in conjunction with gamma notional. And I just look at gamma notional, but you can I look at this as well. So when it changes, gamma notional, or it changes when gamma notional changes, and vice versa. So now let's take a look at this is what I want to take a look at. So this is the Spotgamma Gamma Index 1-day forward return, and this is the 0 line right here. And what this is a scatter plot showing the 1-day return versus the Spotgamma Gamma Index. And you can see that as the point here is that as the Spotgamma Index becomes more negative, volatility increases. And you can see how the scatter plot becomes wider here, and this is the 0 line for the Spotgamma Gamma Index. And you can see how the 1-day forward return it can become more positive or more negative. It's just more volatile as the Spotgamma Gamma Index drops down to a certain point, and then it starts to narrow down again. So the gamma notional is just indicating volatility. And again, that's because market makers are trading in the direction of price rather than against it, and that tends to accentuate volatility. And that has been the case for most of this year with the S&P 500 in a negative gamma environment. Or the market makers on the negative gamma part of the curve. Okay, I hope that's clear. And Mike asked about, I don't think there's any way of determining whether using gamma notional to determine whether the absolute gamma strike will cause a pin or act as a support and resistance. And I don't really think about pinning that much. I consider it more of a support and resistance. So I'm just not much of a I'm not really someone who thinks about pinning. I look at all the Spotgamma levels more as support and resistance. Okay. And that, I think that's all the questions in YouTube. So now um, let's start with, first of all, um, my preparation for the morning for stocks, looking for setups in all of the stocks that I follow. So this is a spreadsheet that I keep, and I track the stocks, the key gamma strike for the stocks in my watch list every day. And at the beginning of the day, I take this current key gamma strike and move it over to the right, and then I note the new key gamma strike for the current day, and I color code it. And green, for example, indicates that that key gamma strike increase from the previous day, and red indicates that the key gamma strike dropped from the previous day. So that is that is just some indication of sentiment, I think, whether and could be interpreted or used as a to help develop a directional bias, which is how I use that number or that data. So important to note here, the rising or increase in the current gamma strike for AMD and also Snowflake. And as usual, a falling key gamma strike for Tesla. And that has been the case for some time now. I think Tesla has been falling for quite a while. So this is part of my pre-market planning for for my watch list. Okay, so now once the market opens, and I post this in Discord every day, in the Options with Doug chat room. This is my watch list, my hero watch list, and this is the older interface for Hero, Spotgamma Hero. But this is why I'm using this, because I can see the my entire watch list in one screen. So this morning I ranked the symbols on my watch list from the strongest signal to the weakest. And what I'm going to do now is just go through these in that order. And then one that I want to highlight is Snowflake. And we'll look at Equity Hub and see how, remember, the key gamma strike increased from the previous day. And also on a bullish day like today, you can expect a high beta stock like Snowflake to show a lot of movement. So, all right, so let's start. Let's go now to Spotgamma Hero, and we'll start with ES. And I still have the my watch list still ranked at in that same order, and I posted that a little bit late today, around 10:04 a.m. And need to know, ask about the purpose of the Vanna chart is to understand how market makers may react with changes in price, time, and volatility. So that's I think the Vanna chart is a clear visual representation of that market maker's behavior or potential behavior as price changes. So that clearly shows that market makers will need to sell futures as the S&P 500, SPX, and SPY fall, and they can buy back those short futures as price increases with that line that slopes upward from right to left. So that's what that's showing. All right, so let's take a look at ES. And there was a strong correlation this morning. Traders came right out of the gate. And now this is combining the options trade signals for SPY and SPX. And that is what Spotgamma is showing that is driving market maker hedging activity in ES. So they this morning they were buying calls, and they continue to buy calls, and that is shown by the orange line. So again, right out of the gate, they came out buying calls aggressively, and then they have continued to buy calls for the rest of the day, and not doing a whole lot with puts. It looks like on net they are buying puts as well. And again, this is SPX and SPY combined, and we will we'll take a look at those instruments individually. So now let's go to Bookmap and let's take a look at ES again. So the again, the reversal at 38.50, or the final test of 38.50 this morning at the 10 a.m. data. Then there was a strong rally up to, and let's see where that went. And that was actually SPY 387. And I've pointed that out many times. It's not as prevalent today, but the SPY round number levels are typically pretty significant. So that's where the rally stopped this morning, and then it looks like lunchtime chop started early, and now it looks like the rally is picking up again. And the next target would be the 388 call wall. And then the ES chart is showing the next resistance level up above, and that is the SPX 3900 level. So let me just check how that compares to and that coincides very closely with the SPY 388 level. So that comes out to be almost exactly ES 3925, which is the equivalent to the SPX 3900 level. So that looks like that's what's on deck for this afternoon. For the S&P 500. The SPX 3900 level, ES 3925, and SPY 388 call wall. All right, let's take a look at, let's go back to SPY now and take a look at at Hero for SPY. And as usual recently, the SPY Hero chart looks a lot like ES. And traders, again, buying calls pretty aggressively right at the open. And then continue to buy calls as price increases. And give me just a moment. I'm going to share my other screen. I've got a couple of stocks that I want to look at over there. So I have Bookmap running on another computer with some different stocks. And Netflix is the first one that I want to look at. And that's the next one on our list. And there's definitely a strong trend in Netflix today. Let's go back to Hero here. And just as a reminder, what I'm looking at, this Hero signal, is showing the strength of the Hero signal in terms of the last 5 days. That's probably not a good one to look at. Let's look at block here. In the last 5 days and the last 30 days. So this gray, kind of light gray outline is showing the range of the Hero signal in the last 30 days. And then the colored portion is showing the range of the Hero signal in the last 5 days. So for block here, it's showing that the Hero signal is the strongest that it has been in the last 5 days, and not quite as strong as it has been in the last 30 days. But for Netflix, it is the strongest that it has been in the last 5 days and the last 30 days. And need to know, ask on SPY, how did you know that it will break 387 and move to 388 and not reject on the previous high for SPY? So let's go back and look at SPY. Whoops. Well, for one, I see this positive or rising Hero signal, the purple line, that's the total line. So I know that traders are taking positive delta positions. So I'm looking for rally continuation. And like I said, they continue to buy calls. And that is a very powerful force that can drive a stock much higher. Market makers have, as traders buy calls, market makers are selling the calls, and they have to continue to buy stock or buy futures in this case as price increases. All right, let's go look at Bookmap. And there's SPY. So, we don't know if, we certainly don't know if price will increase up to the call wall, but my guess that it will. The trade entry would have been right here, the reversal higher at this volatility trigger. Let's just zoom in on this and take a closer look at the order flow. We can see the price making slightly higher highs. That final reversal lower. This is one of the patterns that JTrader showed. I don't know if he showed additional patterns today, but this was last week, I believe, one of his 3 patterns for 2023. This final move lower and then the reversal higher, kind of the final flush out. So you might want to go back and review that. I believe this is one of his patterns. But anyway, I see in Spotgamma Hero traders are continuing to buy calls, and this is looks like a good long setup right here with the green dots coming in at the 386 volatility trigger, breaking out of this range in this high volume node. And here you can also see the volume starting to increase. Right after 2 o'clock. Okay. And we were taking a look at Netflix. Let's go to go to Spotgamma Hero, and let me check for questions on YouTube. Okay, great, Billy. If you do have a problem with Discord, check with Bookmap support. They will be able to help you. And Mikey O, I don't understand your question. Strong for what? What signal? I'm not sure what you're asking there. All right, so let's take a look at Netflix here. And again, this was the 3rd on the list behind ES and SPY. And as usual, there's a very strong correlation between options trades and price action. As traders buy and sell calls and puts, market makers tend to hedge that activity very quickly in volatile stocks like Netflix. And calls are clearly driving here. So traders are buying calls, market makers are selling the calls, and they have to buy Netflix stock to hedge their delta exposure. Let's go back and take a look at Netflix. And I have not loaded the my cloud notes on this other computer for Netflix. And let's just see if there are any key gamma levels in play. We'll go back to Spotgamma here. And this chart is not showing any. The key gamma strike actually dropped for Netflix from 300 to 280, and you would I would initially interpret that as bearish, but price action, order flow, and market maker hedging flow did not confirm that thesis. Everything is extremely bullish on this chart, as well as the Bookmap chart. And we'll just take a quick look at some of these block. Oh, one thing that I wanted to show on Netflix. I'm going to go back. I'm going to zoom into the morning, and there was a slight divergence that I guess really only about 5 minutes. So it might have been, it was probably hard to see, but definitely right after the open with a stock that moves as quickly as Netflix, but price was decreasing as Hero was rising. So that was just a small divergence, first thing after the open. All right. There's block, and also a little bit of a divergence as well. I thought that pretty similar to Netflix acted about 7 or 8 minutes, and you can see it here. Prices falling, Heroes rising. And let's take a look at AMD now. And there's a strong correlation with Hero in the morning. And not so much after 10:30. And let's take a look in Bookmap. And remember, the key gamma strike increased for AMD, and this call wall was the first target. And notice all the liquidity that came in right at the open. And one other thing I want to show, let's take a look at AMD in Equity Hub here. And one thing I want to point out is this skew chart, and we'll look at this for Snowflake as well. And this was the other Snowflake was the other stock with a rising key gamma strike. So this is the skew chart. This is the at the money strike, the delta 50. And what Spotgamma is showing is call implied volatility to the right of this line, and put implied volatility to the left of the line. And this is indicating demand. It shows implied volatility, which is also an indication of demand. So like most stocks, there's still an increase in demand for puts, but I'm looking for any stock with a slight increase in the line to the right, showing an increased demand for calls. So there's a slight increase in demand for calls for AMD, and these dashed lines are showing the next expiration, which for AMD would be this Friday, and then the solid lines are showing the expiration approximately 30 days out. So the blue line is the day before yesterday, and then the green line is from yesterday, both the solid and the dashed lines. So slight increase in demand for calls. And also there's the increase in the key gamma strike. So in pre-market planning, there was some indication of a bullish expectation for AMD. And let's go back to Spotgamma now. And it looks like traders are taking advantage of higher prices to start taking on bearish option positions, mainly buying puts. All right, I'm going to look at Nvidia, and then we'll take a look at Snowflake a little bit closer. So here's Nvidia, and separate out puts and calls. So traders have been buying calls, and that has been driving price for most of the day. And again, the call line is orange, and that is shown when it increases, showing that traders are buying calls, and that has been driving price action. And now let's go take a look at Bookmap. Nvidia. And definitely a strong trend. And there were several nice pullback entries this morning. The first one here at VWAP at around 10 o'clock when the data came out. And the next at 10:30 with it pullback to the 164 level. And then the next good pullback entry was to VWAP and 164. And the price targets are clearly shown above. Let's kind of zoom a little bit and see if there's anything else above. So it probably won't have the energy to get up to the 170 level, but that is the highest liquidity target. And so what I'm looking at is this liquidity here. So 165, 166, 167, and 168. Okay, so great rally this morning in Nvidia, clear price targets above as traders were buying calls. And then let's take a look at Snowflake. And again, remember this is the Snowflake is the other stock with the increase in the current gamma strike for key gamma strike for today. And now let's go take a look at Snowflake. And strong correlation with options trades and price action. And here it looks like puts are actually driving price action. So traders are selling puts, and that could be because the implied volatility is high in Snowflake. And let me just take a look at something here. I'm checking the implied volatility. So implied volatility is No, it's not that high. So anyway, whoops, that's, the IV percentile is pretty low, although the implied volatility is about 60%. So anyway, traders are selling puts in Snowflake, and market makers are buying. So traders are selling puts, market makers are buying the puts, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. And also it looks like they're buying a few calls as well, or selling a few calls as well. That's pretty insignificant compared to the put number. All right, so let's go take a look now. So going over a scenario, starting with this key gamma strike list this morning, I see that the key gamma strike increased. So if I want to do a little bit more research, I can go to Equity Hub here and look at Snowflake, and I see really even a more pronounced demand for calls than an AMD in the short term, and that is for again the expiration this Friday. So what I'm looking at is this. Again, this is the line that separates put implied volatility below and call implied volatility above, and the dashed lines are the next expiration, which is Friday, and I'm looking at this increasing. So I see the increase in the key gamma strike. I come down here to Equity Hub and see an increase in the key gamma strike, also at the put wall, but then a drop down and call wall. So 2 out of 3 are bullish. But I put the most weight generally on the key gamma strike. And now let's go look at the chart in Bookmap. Whoops. And there's Snowflake. Sharp rally off the 138 this morning. Just a minor, I guess a minor pullback at the 10 a.m. data. So here's the reversal lower and the buy sweep, aggressive traders coming in and buying, and then the reversal at the at the 10 a.m. data down to the 140 level, and another pullback with a buy sweep there to around 142.50. And let's see what kind of targets there are above. Looks like the primary target is the 150 liquidity level. And that is the, let's just go back and look at Equity Hub here. And that's the new key gamma strike. All right, and let me check for questions in YouTube. And so Mikey O was asking about strong signal, and what this hero signal is showing is the strength of the signal And again, the last 5 days and the last 30 days. And most likely, if it is on the high end of that range, it's going to be positive. And that just, all that means, again, is that that signal is the strongest that it has been, or the most positive, in the last 5 days and the last 30 days. And if you want to, if you want to know more, let's see, you can go here to help, and here this article will explain it in more detail. So I hope that answers your question. All right. And let me just check for questions in Bookmap Discord. No questions. So my time is up. I think that I highlighted the, oh, somebody wanted to look at Tesla. We'll take a quick look at Tesla. Pretty choppy today. And here it is. Here's Tesla and Spotgamma. Again, pretty choppy. So anyway, I think I've highlighted the best trades for the day. The ES and SPY, Netflix, and Snowflake, I thought were the best trades of the day, and Nvidia. So again, my time is up. I thank you for attending. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. And I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.